Take a deep breath, slowly in and out. Before we begin, I want you to arrive here. Not physically, you're already here, but mentally, emotionally, because this conversation is not surface level. This is not just motivation. This is transformation. Let me ask you something honestly. How many times have you allowed something small to take control over your entire mood? One message, one tone, one look, one misunderstanding. And suddenly you're thinking about it all day, replaying it, questioning it, feeling it again and again. And the worst part, the other person has already moved on, but you're still carrying it, still feeling it, still letting it affect your peace. Now, listen carefully. That is not because you are weak. That is but because you are weak. That is because you feel deeply. And especially for women, this depth is something the world has misunderstood for centuries. From a young age, you were told, don't be too emotional, don't overreact, don't think too much, but nobody ever taught you how to understand your emotions, how to manage them, how to use them as strength instead of letting them become your burden. So today we are going to change that. Today you are going to learn something powerful, how to feel deeply but not be controlled by what you feel, how to care but not lose yourself in caring, how to love but not abandon yourself in the process. This is what it means to train yourself to be unbothered. Now let me make something very clear. Being unbothered does not mean you don't feel. It does not mean you become cold. It does not mean you become cold. It does not mean you stop caring. No, it means you become selective. Selective with your energy, selective with your emotions, because the truth is everything in life will try to pull your attention. People, situations, opinions, drama. And if you don't have control over yourself, you will react to everything. And when you react to everything, you lose your power. Power is not in reacting. Power is in choosing. Now let's talk about feminine energy, real feminine energy, not the version society has tried to define. Not the soft means weak version, but the truth. Feminine energy is deep, it is intuitive, it is emotional, yes, but not unstable. It is aware, it sees things beyond words, it feels things beyond logic, it understands energy, and that is powerful. But here's where many women struggle. When you feel everything, you start absorbing everything. Other people's moods, other people's problems, other people's negativity, and slowly you lose your own center. You become overwhelmed, not because life is too heavy, but because you are carrying too much that was never yours. So let me give you a truth that might change your life. Not everything you feel belongs to you. Sometimes you are feeling energy that isn't yours. So sometimes you are feeling energy that isn't yours. And you are holding on to it as if it is your responsibility. It's not. You are allowed to feel, but you are also allowed to release. Now listen to this carefully. This might be one of the most important lines you hear today. Just because you feel something doesn't mean you have to act on it. You can feel anger and still choose silence. You can feel hurt and still choose peace. You can feel misunderstood and still choose not to explain yourself. That is control. That is strength. That is power. Now let's go deeper into something that silently destroys peace. Overthinking is not just thinking too much. It is emotional looping. It is replaying moments, rewriting conversations, creating scenarios that never even happened. Why did they say that? What do they mean? Did I do something wrong? Are they upset with me? And before you realize it, you are trapped inside your own mind. Let me tell you something honestly. Most of the things you overthink were never that deep. Sometimes people are just busy. Sometimes they are distracted. Sometimes they are dealing with their own struggles. But your mind makes it about you, and that is why you must train your mind. Here's a powerful line. Not every thought deserves your belief. Just because a thought enters your mind doesn't mean it is true, doesn't mean it is important, doesn't mean it deserves your energy. You must learn to observe your thoughts without attaching to them. Now let's talk about something even deeper, self-worth. Because the truth is, if you don't know your worth, everything will bother you. You will seek validation. You will overreact. You will feel hurt easily. You will depend on others to feel okay. But when you truly know your worth, everything changes. You don't chase. You don't beg. You don't over-explain because you understand something powerful. If they don't see my value, that's their limitation, not mine. That's their limitation, not mine. Let that sink in. Now imagine a version of yourself who is calm, stable, grounded. Someone ignores you, you don't panic. Someone leaves you unread, you don't overthink. Someone doesn't choose you, you don't lose yourself. Why? because you have chosen yourself. And once you choose yourself, you stop needing others to choose you. That is freedom. Now let's talk about boundaries, because this is where transformation truly begins. Many women struggle with boundaries, not because they don't understand them, but because they are afraid of disappointing others, afraid of being misunderstood, afraid of being seen as rude or selfish. So they say yes when they want to say no. They stay when they want to leave. They give even when they are empty, and slowly they lose themselves. But listen carefully. Every time you say yes to something that drains you, you are saying no to yourself. And the more you ignore yourself, the more disconnected you become. So you must learn this. No is a complete sentence. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to justify it. You don't need to apologize for it, because protecting your peace is your responsibility. Now let's address something society has deeply misunderstood: women's strength. A woman who speaks up is called aggressive. A woman who sets boundaries is called difficult. A woman who prioritizes herself is called selfish, but a woman who sacrifices everything for others is praised. And that is the trap, because you were never meant to lose yourself, to be accepted. You were meant to stand in your truth fully, confidently, gracefully. Here's a powerful truth: you are not too much, you are just not for everyone, and that's okay. Not everyone will understand your depth. Not everyone will value your energy. Not everyone will deserve your presence. And you must learn to be okay with that, because the moment you try to be for everyone, you lose yourself. Now let's talk about emotional discipline. This is what separates reactive people from powerful people. Reactive people feel something and immediately act on it. They text, they argue, they explain, they react. Powerful people pause. They feel, but they don't rush. They observe, they process, they choose. And that pause changes everything, because in that pause you regain control. Here's a powerful line: your first emotion is human. Your second reaction is your power. You cannot control what you feel immediately, but you can control what you do next. And that is where transformation happens. Now let's go even deeper into silent power. The most powerful person in the room is not the loudest. It is the calmest, the one who doesn't react to everything, the one who doesn't need attention, the one who is grounded in themselves. That energy is rare, and it is magnetic, because people can feel it. They feel your confidence, they feel your peace, they feel your peace, they feel your self-respect. And without saying a word, you command respect. Now, I want you to understand something very clearly. You don't need to prove your worth. You don't need to convince people. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. The right people will understand you, and the wrong people will misunderstand you no matter what you do. So stop exhausting yourself trying to be understood by people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Now take a moment and ask yourself, what am I giving my energy to? Is it helping you grow, or is it draining you? Because your attention is your most valuable currency. Where you focus, your life follows. If you focus on drama, you will feel chaos. If you focus on growth, you will feel progress. Says, if you focus on yourself, you will evolve. So choose wisely. Now we come to one of the most important parts: letting go. You cannot be unbothered if you are holding on to everything. Old conversations, old pain, old versions of yourself. Let it go. Not because it didn't matter, but because you matter more. Let go of the need to be understood. Let go of the need to be liked. Let go of the need to prove yourself. And watch how light you feel, because life becomes easier when you stop carrying things that are not yours. Now, as we come towards the end, I want you to remember this. You are powerful, not because you are perfect, but because you are aware. You are growing, you are learning, you are learning, you are learning, and that is enough. So from today, make a decision, a real decision. I will protect my energy. I will choose my peace. I will not react to everything. I will not abandon myself for anyone. Say it again, feel it, believe it, because the moment you stop letting everything affect you is the moment you take your power back. Stand tall, walk with confidence, speak with intention, and most importantly, stay grounded in who you are. Train yourself to be unbothered, not because you don't care, but because you care about the right things: your peace, your growth, your purpose. And when you reach that level, nothing can shake you. Nothing can break you. Nothing can define you, because you already know who you are. And that is your power.